The two concepts were mass action and equipotentiality. Okay? Both were presented in his 1929 monograph of brain mechanisms and intelligence. By mass action, he referred to his findings in learning, or at least kinds of learning, is mediated by the cerebral cortex as a whole. This particular principle is based mainly on his studies of maze learning, which showed that the efficiency of learning, and I just forgot where I was.
Take your time, take your time.
That the efficiency of learning depends roughly on the amount of cortex present, not on any particular cortical locus. Let me tell you something about these eye names. They're really long and hard to say. Okay? Just want you to know that.
I got you on the recording.
Long, okay? And so if I'm trying to figure out this word, just give me about 2 seconds and the word will be figured out, okay? The related concept of equipotentiality came out of the studies of vision and applies primarily to sensory systems. It refers to the ability of certain parts of the system to assume the function of its other parts. The next function is sensory function. I'm going to run through this really, really fast, okay? But if you need to refer back to something, please go back to the book, okay? The next thing is sensory functions, in which Lashley made contributions to neural anatomy. Concentrating at first on the visual system, he traced neural connections between the retina and the lateral geniculus nucleus of the thalamus, and between the nucleus and the cortex. Basically dealing with the brain, okay? And next, the final thing is neuron functions. The final major aspect of Lashley's work was an attempt to construct a general theory of neural functions. His grand design was to develop a theory of how the brain works in perception and learning. I know you know about, he did some, I guess, made some scientific methods and experiments on the rat's brain. If you read that, you would probably know that. Okay? And without a question, he was the 20th century pioneer in the experimental study of brain functions and behavior. Next slide, please. And now we're going to discuss who is Donald O. Hebb. As you can see, he is no longer alive. He is dead. So if you wanted to go and find him and ask questions, I'm sorry.
I've got you. I got you.
Okay? But Lashley was an American. He was a Canadian psychologist who was very influential in the area of neuropsychology, where he sought to understand how the function of neurons contribute to psychological processes such as learning. As you can see, they discussed the cognitive and all that good stuff, which all had something to do with the contribution of Donald O. Hebb. He is best known for his theory of Hebbian's learning, which he introduced in the classic 1949 work, The Organization of Behavior. By far, Mr. Hebb, who's no longer alive, is described as the father of neuropsychology and neural networks.
Thank you.
Gracie.
With all that being said with those two gentlemen, they mainly